Hello dear students, welcome to the online class of Christioti Convent Senior Secondary School Bagpat. I am your teacher Abhishek Mittal and today I am going to teach you the chapter first of Reverie, The Darkling Thrush by Thomas Hardy. Okay, so this is our poem. So before starting the poem, I am just going to tell you the meaning of these two words, darkling and thrush. Okay, so darkling means in the dark and thrush is a bird. Okay, so bird in the dark. So now we will read the poem, I will explain you the poem and let us see what is the role of the word in this particular poem. Understood? So it is the end of the year, it is the worst time of the year. It is freezing cold, the day is coming to a close. So the poet has described the atmosphere. Okay, in the first few lines the poet has tried to describe the atmosphere. He says that it is the end of the year, probably it is the last day of the December and last day of the 19th century. Okay, and he calls it the worst time of the year because there is snow and snow all around. The sun, which is compared to the eye of the dying day, is weak. The light is fading fast and the dark is engulfing the whole countryside. So the sun is about to set, it is evening time and the dark is about to engulf the entire atmosphere. Okay, it is slowly the light of the sun is fading. Okay, frost looks like a ghost and the atmosphere is dreary and cheerlessness. So frost, okay, the snow, the frost, the poet has compared them to white ghost because they are white in color. Okay, the poet has called them grey spectre. It means the poet has compared the white color of the snow or the frost to that of ghost. Understood? The speaker stands leaning against the gate of a small woodland, a coppice gate. Okay, so the poet is leaning against a gate that is made up of wood and that particular gate opens in the forest. Okay, he is leaning against that gate. This shows that the poet is very tired and very depressed. Okay, over his head the leafless branches of vines are tangled. They look like the broken strings of lyres. So over his head, just above the head of the poet, there are some leafless branches of vine tree. Vine is a kind of creeper plant. Okay, so he has compared those vine branches to string of lyres. Okay, lyre is a musical instrument and the strings are broken. It means there is no music. Okay, there is no hope, there is no cheerfulness. Obviously the poet suggests that there is no music. There is no chirping of bird, death like silence prevails. So he says the atmosphere is very calm, very quiet. Okay, it is very deadly. There is nothing. Okay, there is no sound at all. Death like silence prevails there. There is no activity around. It is so cold that all the people who might have visited the place during the day have gone home. So he says that there is no activity, even there is no activity of germination of seed. Okay, the place is so dreary, so barren that as far as one could see, it is barren. Okay, it is filled with snow, no activity is going on there. And the people who might have visited the place in the daytime must have gone back to their home in the comforts of their home, and now the place is deserted, desolated. It is so cold that all the people who might have visited the place during the day have gone home and are warming themselves by their household fires. The landscape is barren and covered with frost. It is the end of the 19th century and the landscape looks like its corpse stretched out there. So as I told you earlier that this particular day is the last day of the 19th century. Okay, and the entire landscape is covered with frost and snow. Okay, the poet has compared that particular landscape as the corpse. Okay, corpse is the dead body, and the sky, he has called the sky as the ceiling of the tomb. Understood? So all these comparisons shows that how dismal, how gloomy, how depressed our poet was at this particular moment. The grey clouds hanging above are like the tomb of the dead century. There is a wind. It sounds like a mourning the death of a century. Okay, so wind is also blowing, but The poet perceived that wind as a morning song, okay, the song which is sung at the death of somebody, okay. So these all comparisons shows the hopelessness of our poet. Indeed, everything there appears to be dead. The very process of germination of seeds seems to have come to an end also, okay. Even the seeds that are germinating below the earth, they also, that process also seems to have stopped or halted. There will be no spring again, no fresh plants will ever grow again. So poet is so depressed that the future seems to be very bleak to him, okay. He feels that the future, the condition, the present situation is not going to change, okay, it is not going to improve. That is why he has said that no fresh plants will ever grow. Understood? In short, there is no sign or any hope of life. Nature is dreary, gloomy, bleak, cheerless, and lifeless, and there appears to be no hope of its rejuvenating. So, poet says that there is no hope of nature rejuvenating itself with life again. Everything around the poet seems to be lifeless, and he feels that the condition is not going to improve in future as well. He thinks everything is dead and there is nothing to cheer him up. So he has made a perception that there is nothing good that will happen. Okay, now it is not happening, it will not happen in the future as well. So he is totally depressed. As he was gloomy, he was lost in thought. Then suddenly he hears a cheerful note. Okay, so when he was lost in his thoughts, suddenly he hears a cheerful note. Somewhere in the dark, a thrush has perched itself on the branch of a dry, leafless vine. So, a thrush, a bird from somewhere came there and sat on the leafless vine branches. The bird is frail and small, and the bird that has come, it is very frail, very weak, very tiny, and very small. Okay, its plumes or its feathers have been ruffled by a storm. Okay, the feathers of the bird has been ruffled by the storm. It means that the bird also might have faced similar condition as the poet is being facing now. Okay, so both of them are kind of in the same condition. The bird's song in such an atmosphere is surprising and attracts the reader's attention. But the bird is not hopeless as our poet is. The bird is singing, and that catches the attention of the poet. He could not figure out what is making this bird sing. Okay, from where this bird is getting the hope to sing. The speaker in the poem is not mused though, but he is too amazed at the bird's cheerfulness. Okay, so he is not very amazed, but he is surprised. Okay, that what makes this small, tiny, weak, fragile bird singing in this kind of desolate environment. He does not find any reason to be cheerful, but thinks that the bird in any time aware of something to celebrate of which he has no knowledge. So he just contemplate the situation. He feels that he does not have any reason to be cheerful, but the bird probably might be having some reason to be cheerful, of which the poet does not have any knowledge of. Okay, the poet does not know the reason why the bird is cheerful. Okay, though the poem is mournful about the gloomy end of the 19th century, the attention shifts to the brave thrush. Okay, so the entire poem, mostly 70 to 75% of the poem, we have seen that the poet is very depressed and he has been continuously mourning about the situation. But at the end, just in the last paragraph, a thrush comes and it totally changed the environment, changed the situation. Since it is getting dark and the bird sings in the dark, the reason for the cheerfulness of the bird is a mystery. So it is dark and the bird is singing in the dark. And why the bird is cheerful? It is still a mystery for the poet. The poet is completely in the dark about it. The bird and the cause of his song remain in the dark. So the poet has no idea why the bird is singing, and that is why the poet feels himself to be in dark. Okay, he has that lack of knowledge, lack of understanding. What hope, from where this bird is getting the hope? Okay, so Darkling Thrush sounds to be an inappropriate title of the poem. So that is why the poem, this title of the poem seems to be quite fitting. Okay, according to the situation, this title seems to be quite fitting. Now let us quickly see the theme of the poem or the central idea. In this poem, two opposite attitudes are presented side by side. So we have seen there are only two main characters here. One is our poet and one is the thrush, okay, a bird. On the one hand, there is a thrush who is optimistic and sings a cheerful song. On the other hand, the poet sees no reason to be cheerful. Okay, so there is a complete contrast between the two characters of this poem. Okay, one is very hopeful, very cheerful, and other is very hopeless, depressed, and lifeless. Even in the gloomiest situation, there is a ray of hope. So, what does this poem convey? That there is always a ray of hope in every bad situation. Okay, it is just our perception that does not allow us to see that ray of hope. Okay, if we change our perception, we will be able to see. Okay, to see that light, the light of hope, the ray of hope. It depends upon the perception of each person how to understand it. So it totally depends, the situation depends only on our personal perception. So this was the explanation of the poem. I hope you have understood. If there is any doubt, you can contact me personally or we'll discuss in the live class. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe, have a nice day.